I found the pregnancy test 3 days before our wedding, shoved in the back of Ryan's truck, right next to an empty beer can and a receipt for a motel off I-55. It wasn't mine. Taped to it was a crumpled note scrawled in rushed handwriting. We need to talk about our future. L. My name is Sarah Winters. 3 days ago, I was supposed to marry the man I thought would never hurt me. Now I'm sitting on the floor of my empty apartment in South Loop, staring at the wedding dress I'll never wear and wondering how long I've been sleeping next to a stranger. The morning had started like any other. Toronto in September feels magical. The summer heat giving way to a gentle autumn chill, the maple trees just beginning their transformation. Perfect wedding weather, everyone kept saying. My mother was already at the venue, arranging flowers and directing caterers with military precision. My father had picked up his tuxedo and was meeting with the photographer. Everything was set. Perfect. Don't be nervous, my roommate Jade said, handing me a mimosa as I scrolled through my checklist for the 50th time. You and Ryan are meant to be. Everyone knows it. I smiled, but something felt off. Ryan had been distant lately, working late, always on his phone. His kiss goodbye that morning rushed and distracted. Just wedding stress, I told myself. He's just busy with work. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Check Ryan's truck bed before the wedding. Look under the tarp. You deserve to know. My stomach dropped. The mimosa suddenly tasted sour. Probably just spam, Jade suggested when I showed her. Or someone trying to cause trouble. But the seed had been planted. Ryan had left his truck parked in the underground garage, while he and his groomsmen prepared at his brother's place downtown. I had the spare key. I shouldn't, I said. Then don't, Jade replied. But if you don't, you'll wonder. The elevator ride to the garage felt eternal. Each floor chimed with ominous certainty. My hands trembled as I approached his black F-150, the truck Ryan loved more than almost anything. I unlocked it. The interior was spotless, nothing unusual. Relief washed over me until I remembered, check the truck bed. Under the tarp, the black vinyl cover was secured tightly. I unhooked one corner, then another. Underneath was a cardboard box, taped shut but clearly handled recently. This is stupid, I thought. This is an invasion of privacy. I tore open the box. Inside were photos, dozens of them. Ryan with a woman I'd never seen before, tall, blonde, gorgeous. They were kissing in some of them, holding hands in others, standing in front of a cabin I didn't recognize. Their smiles genuine, intimate. And beneath the photos, a small plastic stick with a clear pink plus sign. A pregnancy test, positive. With a handwritten note, we need to talk about our future. Al. My world collapsed into that box. 4 years together. A house we'd picked out, family holidays, future plans, children we'd named in whispered conversations late at night. All of it, lies. I don't remember the drive to my brother Ethan's apartment. I don't remember calling him, but somehow he was waiting outside when I arrived, concern etched across his face. Sarah? The wedding's in 3 hours. What's wrong? I couldn't speak. I handed him the box. Ethan's expression shifted from confusion to shock to cold fury as he leafed through the photos. That son of a bitch, he whispered. How long have you known? 20 minutes, I managed. My voice barely audible. Ethan paced his living room, one hand pulling at his hair. What do you want to do? I need to talk to Ryan. Are you sure that's a good idea? I need to hear him say it. The call connected on the 3rd ring. Hey babe, Ryan answered, his voice casual. Just finishing up here. Everything okay? Who is she? I asked, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. Silence. Then, who's who? The woman in the photos, Ryan. The one who's pregnant. The one you've been seeing behind my back. More silence. Longer this time. I could hear him breathing. Sarah, I can explain. Don't bother. I've seen everything. The photos, the pregnancy test, the note. Where did you find that? His voice turned sharp, defensive. Does it matter? Is it true? He didn't answer immediately. That was answer enough. Her name is Lena, he finally said. His voice hollow. I met her last year at a conference in Vancouver. And the baby? I asked, my voice finally cracking. It's mine, he admitted. I was going to tell you. When? After we said I do? After the honeymoon? When exactly were you planning to mention your pregnant girlfriend? She's not my girlfriend, Ryan protested. It got complicated. Complicated, I repeated. That's what you call this? You've been living a double life. I love you, Sarah. I still want to marry you. We can work through this. I laughed then, a harsh sound I barely recognized. Are you insane? There is no wedding, Ryan. Not today. Not ever. Sarah, please? I hung up. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped the phone. Ethan caught it before it hit the floor. I'm calling it off, I said, feeling strangely calm now that the decision was made. I need to tell everyone. Let me help, Ethan said. I'll call Mom and Dad. You shouldn't have to do this alone. My parents arrived at Ethan's apartment 30 minutes later. My mother, always composed, wept openly when I showed her the evidence. My father, the gentlest man I knew, swore for the first time in my presence. We'll handle everything, my father said, pulling me into a hug. The venue, the guests. Don't worry about any of it. I'll come with you, I insisted. I need to be there. The venue looked beautiful, white roses and baby's breath. Crystal champagne flutes catching the afternoon light. Everything I'd dreamed about since I was a girl. Ryan was already there, pacing near the altar, his groomsmen hovering nearby with confused expressions. He rushed over when he saw me. Sarah, please, can we talk privately? There's nothing to discuss, I said, loud enough for those nearby to hear. The wedding is off. You've been cheating on me, and she's pregnant. Gasps rippled through the room. Ryan's face drained of color. Not here, he hissed. For God's sake, not like this. Why not? Were you planning to marry me while keeping her a secret? While your child grows inside another woman? Were you going to abandon them, or were you going to abandon me later? It's not that simple, he pleaded. Actually, it is. You lied. You cheated. You were going to trap me in a marriage built on deception. His mother approached, confusion and horror battling on her face. Ryan, what is she talking about? I handed her the photos. Her hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God, I'm sorry, I told her. I truly am. As I turned to leave, Ryan grabbed my arm. Sarah, wait, my brother stepped between us. Take your hand off her, he warned. Now. Ryan let go, defeated. I never meant to hurt you, he said. But you did, I replied. And I deserved better. The next few hours passed in a blur. Guests were informed. Gifts returned. Deposits forfeited. My wedding dress hung untouched in Ethan's spare room. I couldn't bear to look at it. That night, curled up on my brother's couch with a blanket and a bottle of wine, I finally allowed myself to fall apart. The sobs came from somewhere deep and primal, tearing through me until I could barely breathe. Ethan sat beside me, silent and steadfast, occasionally refreshing my wine glass or offering tissues. Around midnight, my phone buzzed with a text from Jade. Just heard from Alex. Ryan's been trying to reach you. Lena showed up at his place. Apparently, they've been together for over a year. She didn't know about you either. She thought he was going to propose to her this weekend. I stared at the message, numb. She didn't know about me, I told Ethan, my voice raw from crying. He was lying to both of us. Jesus, Ethan muttered. What a piece of work. 2 days later, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. Hello, I answered cautiously. Is this Sarah? A woman's voice, hesitant but determined. Yes, who's this? My name is Lena Harrison. I think we need to talk. My heart hammered in my chest. I agree. We met at a quiet cafe, far from my usual haunts. I spotted her immediately, tall, blonde, visibly pregnant, maybe 5 months along. She looked as exhausted as I felt. Thank you for meeting me, she said, as she lowered herself into the chair opposite mine. I wasn't sure you would. I almost didn't, I admitted. I didn't know about you, she said, her voice breaking slightly. I swear I had no idea he was engaged. I believe you, I said, surprised to find that I meant it. He told me you met at a conference. She nodded. In Vancouver. I work in architectural design, same as Ryan. He told me he was single, that he'd just gotten out of a long relationship and wasn't looking for anything serious. But then, you fell in love, I finished for her. And got pregnant, she added, resting a hand on her belly. It wasn't planned. When I told him, he seemed happy at first. Then he started acting strange. Said he needed time to process. That's when I started getting suspicious. How did you find out about me? I asked. Social media, she said with a sad smile. Someone tagged him in a wedding countdown post. 10 days until Ryan and Sarah say I do. I confronted him and he admitted everything. Said he'd been trying to find a way to break it off with you but couldn't bear to hurt you. I laughed bitterly. How considerate of him. I was going to send you a message, she continued, but I couldn't figure out what to say. Then I remembered he mentioned you had access to his truck. I knew he kept our photos there, hidden from you. I thought, you deserved to know before you married him. You sent the text, I realized. She nodded. I'm sorry it had to be that way. Don't be, I said. You saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life. We talked for over 2 hours, about Ryan, about her pregnancy, about the future. There were tears, but also unexpected moments of laughter, the kind that comes from shared trauma and relief. What will you do now? I asked as we prepared to leave. Have this baby, she said, determination in her voice, with or without Ryan. I've already told him I don't want a relationship with him anymore, but he'll need to step up as a father. And you? She asked. What's next for you? I thought about it. I'm not sure. Everything I planned for the next year, the next 5 years, included him. Now I have to reimagine my whole life. That's terrifying, she said. And liberating, I added. We exchanged numbers before parting, not as friends exactly, but as allies who had survived the same storm. A week later, I moved out of the apartment I'd shared with Ryan. I found a small studio overlooking the lake. Overpriced but worth every penny for the sunrise view. Ethan helped me paint the walls a deep teal, a color Ryan would have hated. Have you heard from him? Ethan asked as we unpacked boxes. He calls daily, I said. I've stopped answering. Good, Ethan nodded approvingly. Though part of me wants you to answer just so I can hear you tell him off again. I smiled, but it faded quickly. I keep thinking about the signs I missed, the late nights, the business trips that seemed to multiply, how he always kept his phone face down. Don't do that to yourself, Ethan said firmly. This isn't on you. I know, but I can't help thinking that some part of me knew something was wrong. I just didn't want to see it. That's called trust, Sarah. It's not a character flaw. That night, alone in my new apartment, I sat on the balcony watching the city lights reflect on the lake. My phone buzzed with a text from Lena. Just had my 20-week scan. It's a girl. Thought you might want to know. I stared at the message, unsure how to feel. In another life, this baby might have been a stepsister to my own children with Ryan. Now she was, what? A reminder of betrayal, an innocent caught in the crossfire. She's lucky to have you as her mom, I texted back. Stay strong. 3 months later, I was promoted at work. 6 months after that, I went on my first date with Ryan, a kind-eyed history professor who knew nothing about my almost wedding or the man who had shattered my heart. Ryan still reached out occasionally. Each time, his messages grew more desperate, more apologetic. I stopped reading them months ago. A year to the day after what would have been my wedding, I received a small package. Inside was a tiny silver frame with a photo of a newborn baby girl. On the back, in neat handwriting, "Thank you for your strength. It showed me mine." Hurriedly. I placed the frame on my bookshelf, not as a reminder of what I'd lost, but of what I'd found. The courage to walk away, the strength to start over, and the wisdom to recognize that sometimes the most painful truths are the ones that ultimately set us free. That night, I deleted Ryan's number from my phone. Not in anger, not in pain, but in peace. Because finally, after everything that had happened, I understood a fundamental truth. The love I deserved would never come wrapped in lies. And until it arrived, I was enough.